Hi, welcome to Radio Television, Radio Impinduka. My name is Sasa Kainde. Today we're here to talk about Rwanda's government and Rwanda's upcoming elections. We have a guest today, guest profile. Our guest today is Dr. Franck Habineza. He's a 56-year-old Rwandan man and citizen. He is a co-founder and chairperson of the Democratic Green Party of Rwanda. He was a former presidential candidate in the 2017 general elections in Rwanda. He's also a member of parliament, vice president of Social Affairs Commission since 2018. The DGPR, which I'll just refer to the Green Party, because in the West, that's how we often refer to Green parties, was born in August 2009. It went through some hardships, including delayed registration and the loss of its vice president, Andre Kagwa Risereka, who was assassinated in July 2010. Between 2010 and up to 2018, Dr. Franck Habineza has been the president of the coalition between the African Green Parties and Green Movements. Mid-May 2023, Franck Habineza was re-elected as the chairperson of the party and has reinvested his party as a presidential candidate for the upcoming 2024 general elections in Rwanda. So welcome, Dr. Franck Habineza. I'll give you a second to introduce yourself to our audience and say hello.
Yeah, thank you very much for the welcoming remarks. And first of all, I would like to make a correction. I am not 56 years old now.
Sorry, I said 46.
Yes.
Sorry, okay, 46.
I'm still younger than that. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, I think the rest you said it correctly. So I just want to extend my greetings to all the listeners of this radio television. Yeah, I'll be glad to talk to you.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. So today's on our interview, today's main topics, we're going to be speaking about we're going to go through some questions about the governance of the Rwandan government system, the security of the country, and then we'll finish off talking about the oncoming general election in 2024, how your party is preparing for that, how you're preparing for that as a candidate. And so to first start, in regards to the government section, the mode of governments in Rwanda, particularly in the last couple of decades, has really focused on violence, dispossession-based, with really huge scale state violence. We also really note lack of social or civil assistance to people facing hunger, famine, or natural disaster. How do you take in the mode of governments for Rwanda? How would you define it, or how does your party would like to change what is current there?
Yeah, well, Rwanda, as you said, has been in the past characterized by so much violence. And as we all know, that violence culminated into the 1994 genocide against the Tutsi, which left many people dead and innocent lives. They were just killed just because they were born Tutsi. And of course, we have other things that happened. The economy was destroyed. The country was left at ground zero. So, I mean, we came from that terrible past and then trying to rebuild the country after that terrible genocide. So things were not easy because, we had the resurgence of the defeated army from Congo wanted to come back, and then there was attacks here and there, and then there was time to reconstruct the country. So I would say that the country got stabilized around 2000. That's when we started having some kind of peace, and then by 2003 we had the first constitution drafted, and then so here we are, 28 years after. I would say that it's a journey in progress. We are not yet where we would like to be. That's why we started this political party, because we saw a lot of things still missing. especially in the democratic arena, especially things to do with freedom of speech, freedom of expression, political rights. So we could see that we need to have these rights observed in the country, especially the Constitution grants them, but they were not, we had to fight for them because they were not easily accessible because the Constitution was granting them. So we started this political party to claim for that. And of course, we had also a passion for environment, and we also included in the environmental aspects. So that's why we created the Democratic Party of Rwanda. So I would say that after starting the party in 2009, is now 13 years down the road, and we got registered in 2013. That took us 4 years to get registered. And it was a very difficult journey that I would not like to go into now. Some of it you mentioned it. And yeah, I would see that from the time we have started up to the time we are now, there's some progress. You could see that there is slowly by slowly some tolerance coming in from the ruling party, which was not there before. I mean, from our past, when we had our meetings, we were beaten, and we had those things happening. And but now you could see that people have started becoming tolerant, listening to other voices. Story by story, you see that they see that even the opposition is important in the country, which was not the case before. Because every time we could say something, they could tell us that we are rebels, we are part of the FDLR. I don't know if you know FDLR, the rebels in Congo. So we could be called that. Another time we could be called the Kayumba Nyamwasa. Another time we could be anything. They would call us anything, but now, so they would just call us enemies of the country. But now at least they know that we're a political party, we have something to say, and they do listen to us. So I would say there's some progress down the road.
Progress strong, yeah.
Let's hope that the country will be better.
So you mentioned quite a lot of my next question, but if you don't mind, sort of if you missed anything, and my question was, how does your party or you as a leader of the Green Party negotiate for political change in Rwanda while facing a very unwilling RPF-led state, you know, that does fear to lose power and have, for example, many people who see themselves as victims of their regime bring them or try to bring them to justice through things like the International Criminal Courts or International Justice Case And another question could be, what can be done to protect everyday Rwandan citizens from what is really becoming a very oppressive, systematic state? So those are my two items.
I would say that our party is rooted in the principle of non-violence. That's the first principle. It's an international principle that all green parties or green movements all over the world aspire to or subscribe to, non-violence. And then, so with that non-violence, we try to do everything in this country, because this country has seen too much violence. We have had too much violence in this country. So we try to do whatever we do, avoiding violence. So with that, we mean that we try to frame our messages in a peaceful manner. We try to avoid provocative messages. We try to avoid things that will be termed as destructive in a manner. So we try to say whatever we want to say in a peaceful way, in a way that could be understood easily than letting people guess what you want to say. Sometimes, of course, some people fail to understand it stubbornly, but at least we do our best to say our messages in a peaceful manner, and also we based on the Constitution of Rwanda, which encourages dialogue and consensus. So we do believe in that. We always call for dialogue between that the government of Rwanda should be able to listen to its the people who don't have the same ideas, opposing voices, and that's dialogue. And then we try to also believe that we are not the only ones who have the best ideas. That's why we agree on the consensus that we can have a debate on something, but also we hear other people's voices, other people's ideas, and then we could have a consensus. And we believe that that everyone can make a contribution as long as we can sit down together. So because of that, we've been able to influence the ruling party, the government, and if you read properly in our manifesto, 2017 presidential election manifesto and 2018 parliamentary elections manifesto, a lot of our ideas or campaign issues have been implemented by the government, because we wrote them properly and we've been campaigning them, and ceasingly we don't stop. we are very consistent with our messages. I mean, what we say is we mean well for the Rwandan people. And finally, the government does listen and implements them. So I would say that we have been able to influence through that strategy. And again, we try our best to show that we are not part of any armed rebellion, because we believe in democratic principles that we will need to achieve political power through democratic means. I mean, it's difficult, but that's what we believe in, and we have to try. So we try to resist working with any armed groups. You know, there are many armed groups against Rwanda, in Congo, and elsewhere. So we try to associate ourselves from that. And yeah, so we have participated in elections. It's not easy. Sometimes we face problems in elections, as I mentioned previously, but we keep the pace, we keep the peace, we keep the hope that things will get better.
And, you know, I just want to mention, you mentioned the word collaboration, and really working with people who are already currently in places of power as your party. That's actually so positive, because a lot of the times I notice a lot of oppositional parties either simply want to come and completely replace and not really want to build from what they already have, you know. So it's nice to hear that the Green Party, they do want to collaborate with other parties in Rwanda, even the government-led party. And because for the end of the day, it is about the quality of life and benefits of Rwandans. Will it improve? So I really enjoyed that answer.
Maybe if I have to add something on that, I would say that it is very important to know that what you aspire to as a political party is the betterment of the citizens. So our policies, our issues is to make the life better for the people of Rwanda. Of course, we've got to do that through political means so that when we have some political power. So the only small success we're able to get was to achieve some power by entering into parliament. We have 2 members of parliament and 1 senator. So we use that opportunity. We also have some local elected officials in the district councils and local councils. So we try to use that small power we have to raise our voice and make sure that people can achieve that. In Rwanda, we have a national political parties forum. It's called the Constitutional Forum of Political Organizations in Rwanda, and which has 11 political parties together. So with that forum, we try to sit together with other political parties, and we agree, disagree. Most times we give our different voices, but we don't fight. And that's the beauty of it, that we don't fight, because in other countries, they have the same forums, but they fight. We try not to fight. We try to exchange our views, and sometimes we walk out without understanding each other. But that helps to diffuse the situation, to diffuse the tensions. And I think slowly by slowly, it helps us to, people have realized that we're humans, because before they used to think we're not human beings. And as you've seen or you heard in the last elections, people called me that I'm a gorilla, that I'm a, I don't know if you know mountain gorillas in Rwanda. So people call me that
I do.
Gorilla, that the mountain gorillas are the ones who should elect me, that not Rwandan people. So, but now I think people have realized that I'm not a mountain gorilla, I'm actually a human being. So I think, yeah, so we are moving forward, I guess, yeah.
It's quite hard to actually even understand that concept, because I do live in the West, and I feel in a way we've progressed we've progressed that it's not acceptable to call another human being an animal. But you're right, each country has its different different timeline of growth, but to see that you even saw a change in that, that's quite remarkable. And so for our next topic, I'd like us to go into the subject of the security. From my viewpoint as somebody who's outside the country, and then you can of course add context as somebody who's in Rwanda and lives every day with Rwandans and with security states. A lot of people feel like that nobody's safe, no private property is guaranteed. A lot of the policemen and the police state, a lot of police violence is not held accountable, and many people feel that the police and the other security forces are able to hurt or even kill people, torment people on a daily basis with not very much inquiry. So it does feel like a level of impunity for crime is growing, and so I would like to know, how do you prepare not just your members of your party, but how do you prepare everyday Rwandans to face such situations, especially when they cry and claim that they don't feel like there's many voices hearing them. So as a Rwandan, I'd really like to hear, are these just our viewpoints as people who, don't live in Rwanda, don't see the everyday day-to reality? So if you could add your viewpoint, please.
Well, I would like to first make it clear for you that it's not true that Rwandan police kills people. It's not true that the military of Rwanda kills people. That's not correct at all. Because there have been some incidents of some shootings here and there of people who have been maybe trying to fight with the army or to cause trouble or to some prisoners escaping and so on. And we have really condemned those. I made this clear even in Parliament. I condemned that. I even had mentioned the names. And those people were prosecuted, either from the military or from the police. They were prosecuted. So I would say that there is nothing like impunity in Rwanda, that people who commit crimes individually, they are prosecuted either through the army courts. The army courts, they have a court called, I think it's called Autora Militaire. They try them and they put them even in prison. And I have evidence for that. And for police, actually, they are more tough. I think they tried, even after prosecuting them, even they fire them from the police force, those who have committed such crimes. So we have evidence to this. So this is, just 1 second. Mama, stop. What is it? Yeah. So I have evidence that this impunity is not there, because if it was there, then it would be encouraging other people to do it. So even in the issue of corruption, we have some cases of some police officers who take some corruption, but they are arrested, they are punished, and even fired from the police force. So basically, it's not true. So Rwanda, if you have seen, there are some reports from the world, from World Bank, from where it's actually ranked as one of the safest places, where people can even walk at night. You can leave your car on the street and no one will take something out of it. Of course, if you leave it carelessly in downtown Nyabugogo, I mean, the main tax park, maybe some lights will be taken off because that's a busy place. Yeah. But I mean, generally speaking, if I forget my car on the street, no one will just come to take something away from that. It's not the same in other countries. And you can walk from here where I stay to town, and maybe if you may even not find someone stopping you. Yeah. So basically, in the middle of the night, you may find some security officers who have what we call Irondo, who can ask you where you're going, or maybe they can ask you your ID, because sometimes they may suspect that you're a thief. But otherwise, no one will kill you or put you in prison just because. But if you commit a crime, of course, you'll be held accountable. So that's what I would like to say. So I would say that Rwandan people here, they have been, how do you call them? Polls, or like polls that
polls, yeah.
Yes, yeah, which have indicated that people have a high trust actually in the Rwandan army. And this, I'll tell you, from my personal experience, because I started my first university degree in Rwanda in a place called Butare, now it's called Huye, whereby even that time, that's 1999, 2000, where we had a big military barracks near the university campus, and always the big truck of soldiers would come and we could stop it. This is what I remember even those days. We would stop the soldiers and they would stop and give us a lift. And people would think that they would beat you. They would not. I didn't know when students were stubborn. We could stop them and they would give us a lift to town and we get out. And so this behavior has continued. People think the military is good because it's not violent. It's not, they don't, and even if you disturb them, they will just look at you, sometimes laugh at you. Yeah. Of course, except if you want to cause trouble when maybe the presidential guards are very tough because they protect the president. But generally speaking, the soldiers, our military is a good military and has a good perception from the citizen.
Okay, thank you so much for that. Next, if you don't mind, then we'll speak about the Rwandan's general elections. 2024 seems like it's going to be a very busy year for elections, because I know many other countries, even the global superpower America, will be having its elections. For those who don't know, presidential and parliamentary elections are scheduled in August 2024. The Rwandans would really like to know the Green Party's stance when, and I've got a couple questions. Is there any good reason to participate as a citizen for citizens and other opposition parties. Since 2003, it has seemed like the same political party, the RPF, has won with little no political change from the results, control from the RPF. So this is a conversation even I know people my generation across the globe are asking themselves, what is the importance of voting as citizenry? Do we still have actual power with our vote? Or is the system already, I don't know, played? And but again, as a member, as a candidate, I'd like your thought about that.
Yeah, thank you very much. These are questions I think which everyone can, genuine questions which people do ask themselves, which will also ask about ourselves whether we should participate in an election or not. And I had this question bigger in 2017, and the presidential elections I participated in, whether it was worth participating, especially that I had to lose too much. Like at that time, I had a European citizenship, a Swedish passport, which I had to give up to stand for elections. And I had to spend a lot of money, some good amounts of money, of dollars that I had to spend. So, I mean, these are questions that you ask me. I'm losing all this too much. What am I going to get from this election? So it takes a lot of courage to give up yourself, to sacrifice yourself to stand in these elections, especially when you see a grim chance of hope that you can win, yeah. Especially when you have a strong candidate like President Kagame, who has been in power all this time with all the resources he has and so on, yeah. So basically, I would say that why it is important, or why it was important, is because it gives people a chance to choose, a choice. And it gives a chance to political parties that are serious to issue out their voice, their message to the population. I'm telling you that even though I got 0.4% in the last election, according to the Electoral Commission, but our influence was big. We were able to traverse the whole country, people to talk to people. I tell you this as not as eyewitness, but people even used to go up in the trees, like you hear the biblical Zacchaeus went to the trees to watch Jesus, to see the candidate, a different candidate. People could say, who is that candidate who could stand up against Kagame? Who is that candidate? People wanted to see, to hear the voice. And I'll tell you, it was such a great message that we were able to give to the people, and giving them hope that yes, it's possible, there can be another candidate. It's possible things can change. And we did not win, but then a year later, when we went into a parliamentary election, things were different because we were already well known in the country, and people had realized that we were not mountain gorillas that they had thought. We were actually human beings, had a different voice, and then we were able to enter parliament. So I would say that it's very important that people had a chance. And as I just mentioned at the beginning, that even though we lost the election, but our influence did not stop, went higher, because our manifesto, things we campaigned for, like we campaigned for land ownership. At that time, it was 20 years ownership for land in Rwanda. We said this is impossible. Wanted total ownership, government did not accept that, but accepted to make it 99 years renewable. So at least from 20 years to 99 years renewable, that was a good change. We campaigned for the cessation, stopping of all land taxes and so on. It did not work. Then I made a bill in parliament to reduce it from 300 francs to 100 francs. And finally, government has accepted to take it to 80 francs. So basically, these are big progress we are making. I say that I will make sure that if I win the elections, I will make sure that teachers get increase of their salaries, because it was less than $50 for teachers at the time. Now government has increased the teachers' salaries to 88% for primary teachers and 44% secondary school teachers. This is from my manifesto. I also campaigned for the children to get food, hot food at school. The children were going hungry at school, and government made this a law from our manifesto. I mean, if I mention the line of things that have been achieved, it's quite many. Even for the military, I campaigned for them to increase their salary, and this has been achieved. We are now campaigning for more for the health sector to increase their salaries and so on, because we know that the government listens. So basically, I would say that I lost the elections, but my message has been working even after the election. Yeah, so this is what the Rwandan people want. The Rwandan people, it's not just being elected, because there's just only one seat for president. But what can you do if you have that seat? And if you don't have the seat, what can you do for the people? So this is what we have tried to show people, that yes, you didn't vote for us, but we're still important. We can still be valuable to you and make your voice heard, because we are spokespersons for the people. We are the voice of the people here. So we've made this clear, and people know that we are not just people who are there who just say things and just go away, but we are people who mean what we say. And this is why I'm standing again for the elections, to make sure that the people's voice is heard, to make sure that people's concerns are heard, and to make sure that those challenges are getting solved. That's why we stand for the elections.
Thank you so much. On the same topic, do you feel that there is enough room for fair and transparent elections while the ruling party, the RPF, still at times win over 90%? As a candidate, do you feel that, yes, that the election system is just and fair for you as a candidate?
Well, I've mentioned before that we're not happy with the results of the last elections because our campaign agents were not allowed to enter into the voting polling stations where the voting rooms, they could be stopped from outside to enter to verify counting of votes. And sometimes where they entered and were able to sign, what they signed for is not what was read out. And we had these cases here and there, which we mentioned that we didn't want the Electoral Commission to be more independent. We have called for reforms into the Electoral Commission. We are saying that we need that all political parties be allowed, especially our party, to be allowed to have commissioners in the Electoral Commission, also on national level, but also on local level, so that we could be there in the preparation of elections, but also the final counting of the votes, so that we would be all happy with the results here. But this has not been achieved. We also have called for reforms, and we're still calling for the reforms to make sure that the media is allowed to report, to do live reporting of the elections where they are counting them from, or the votes were being counted from the polling stations, other than waiting for the Electoral Commission to announce the results after putting them together at the district level. So the media is only allowed to mention what has been mentioned, what has been announced at the district level, but not what is being announced at the polling station. So we do need to have live reporting of the votes where it's happening. And then people can know what's happening. Then we can even tell or know that at the district is this what you'll get at this level. So this will help to give more credibility to the Electoral Commission and also more trust. Because if people lose their trust, they will stop going for voting. Because we need to have to build trust and to believe more the Electoral Commission. So what you're saying, it's not just for personal benefit, but it's for building democracy. We need to have trust in the Electoral Commission on what they are doing, to know that the results they are announcing are real. When we have participated into the process, and when the media is participating into the process. But if you have your observers or your campaign agent, party agents or candidate agents, and they're being stopped from entering or even verifying, then you have doubts. So this, we are still calling for this reform so to all be on the same line.
Okay. Thank you so much for that, for those coherent answers. And I just really want to reaffirm something, because when you said it, really hit me the importance of it. And again, it's that question I mentioned that many young people are asking, why vote? And you mentioned more than 5 things in your manifesto that were able to come to light and help everyday Rwandans simply by exposing yourself as a candidate. And this concept of being able to take wins from something that would be called a loss is something I think my generation really need to learn from. So thank you so much for breaking that down, that exposure in itself is a win, and just being courageous enough to represent yourself and other Rwandans in itself is a really big social win. So I just wanted to add that. Dr. Habineza, those were the main questions I had. I wanted to ask you one last question, and this is in regards to the new international bloc that's being created, which we call the BRICS. This is the Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa bloc. And currently they're saying that it's now almost par to par with the G7 bloc as a country that is part of the global South. How does your party see the growth of this BRICS? Many people see multipluralism as positive, but others see as potential for cold wars. How do you, as a party leader, see the emergence of the BRICS?
Well, I think it has some positives and negatives, but for us as a party, what we have asked for, what we have called for, is that for Africa as a continent to have a seat on the UN Security Council. This is what we have called. We want the African Union. Africa is such a big continent with many 54 countries. and some of them have powerful economies like South Africa and Nigeria. So we think that Africa is safe. We can stand alone and have our own seat in the UN Security Council. We mean a permanent seat, not just a temporary seat, a permanent seat in the Security Council. So this I've mentioned it before, and this is what I would stand for. The BRICS, I think the politics, I would not be able to understand all of them properly, but what I would know for sure that Africa as a continent, we need to have our own voice. And I've seen this, sincerely speaking, I was able to attend the UN Climate Change Conference, the last one in Egypt, in Sharm el-Sheikh, last year, the COP27. And I saw that the African countries really were not united. I could see that the European Union, the European Parliament, they came always with their strong points, and they would make sure that they go into the text negotiations table, and African Union countries or wherever they were jumping here and there, and it was only the African Development Bank, which, imagine a bank, which was trying to put people together, trying to organize people together. So I really felt very sad. I said, I wish that African countries knew their strengths and could negotiate as a bloc and could have their own voice instead of being driven by China sometimes or by Europe or America. So basically, I think that we, as Africa, we're strong enough to stand as a main bloc rather than going to BRICS or what, yeah.
That's so true. I feel like this is a moment for Pan-Africanism that we really need leaders, especially like you, Dr. Habineza, who understand the importance of not just Rwandans, but Africans taking this moment, taking advantage of it to create stronger civil societies, stronger, just stronger states.
Yes.
And I know I actually had said that was my last question, but I can't go without asking you this. And this is a question about the Rwandan girl child. I'm a girl, I'm a woman, and I feel like as women, we have so many specific issues that we grew up with. Is there a message you could give to young Rwandan girls right now? Just whether it's even advice or just reminding them the importance as members of society, they will be the next generation of mothers and nurturers. And what do you think their position within the Rwandan political system can be?
Yeah, thank you very much. That's a nice one. The government of Rwanda in the constitution put 30% for women to have seats of power in government, and even for political parties to make sure that we have 30% of women in our positions of power and so on. For us as a party, we have gone beyond that. We have gone to 50%. Now we have a new policy in our party, we call it gender parity, whereby we believe that it should be 50-50. 50%, even 50% men, because we believe in gender equality, but we think women deserve more than gender equality. They need to have gender parity, that we are all equal humans. Women have power, same knowledge, same wisdom, same everything like us. So there's no need of saying 30%. We need to have 50% equal sharing. So that's what we call gender parity. That's what I'm promoting now as my party. And I've been promoting this in party structures. We've been having even elections for the youth. Even we had one this weekend in the Eastern Province. We are establishing provincial youth structures. So this is what we are promoting, that women should have 50%. So other than that, so that's one, the message is that women, you are able. Don't settle for less. That's what I say. Go for more. You are able, you're capable.
Yeah.
So this is what I'm telling to my girls, to my women there. You are able, don't settle for less. That's one. Two, my advice that we now have the new tendency of this modernity. We have what they call slave queens. I don't know if you hear about that here in Kigali.
We have that problem here too. Yeah.
Okay. So this is what I would advise our girls, that please don't go into that slave queens and so on. Work for what you need. Don't wait to be given free things which will destroy your life. Try to dress decently, so that, because tomorrow you may be our next president or next member of parliament. So if you have dressed indecently, people will remember your nakedness sometime back. Try to dress decently, to show your wisdom, and desist from these sugar daddies. Call them sugar daddies or what?
What I would say is, I guess, just for them to remember that there they're a representation of what Rwanda is. They're a representation of what, I don't know if the word is umucho, but the way they carry themselves reflects also everyone. So that's what I would say you're trying to say, that if they respect themselves, others will respect them as well.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. So if they do that, of course, they'll get whatever they have. They'll need to get in future or even now. But if they don't behave properly, it will become a bad legacy for them. And now they have a traditional saying in Kinyarwanda that one girl does something wrong and it's called again the whole clan. Yeah. So if one girl does something wrong, if they will say, "Oh,
it insults all girls." Yeah.
Yes. So they should remember that we don't need to have that kind of bad legacy for them. Yeah. Otherwise, they should not settle for less.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, Dr. Habineza. Those were all the questions I had for you. If there is any closing comments you have, please go ahead. I just want to remind people again that you are the president of the Democratic Green Party of Rwanda, and you will be a candidate in the 2024 elections. So good luck with that.
Yeah, thank you very much. And of course, I'd like to ask a request to the Rwandans in diaspora. As they did last time, they supported us highly. They voted for us highly. They should continue doing that. And they should advise us where they see we have some weaknesses, who appreciate correctness because we're not perfect. And they should advise us kindly, not using abuseful. I know some people in diaspora, they are very patient. They use abuseful language or terminologies. Please try to be as also kind to us because we pass through a lot to achieve. It's not easy to be a politician, and it's not easy to stand for democracy. Do understand that it's a big sacrifice and stand with us.
Well, thank you very much. Well, thank you everyone for your time. We'll see you again. This was Radio TV Impinduka, and my name is Sasa Kainde. Thank you.
Thank you.